And again, there's got to be a lot of hate on our end. That's what it comes down in rivalry games. So we'll get our guys coached up. They're well coached. I have a lot of respect for West Virginia and their coaching staff and their players. We've watched a lot of tape throughout the last 4 months, 5 months, whatever it's been. Again, a ton of USC tape, a ton of Virginia tape, a ton of their spring game. I watched every throw. JT Daniels, who will be the starting quarterback there. If they haven't made that announcement, I'll make it for him. He will be the starting quarterback, and so I watched, I think, 238 throws that he's made in the last couple of years there. Again, he's very, very capable. I can see why he's the starter. He can make every throw. He's really, really talented. So we'll have our hands cut out for us on that end. And then Dante Sills is one of the top defensive ends who's a playmaker on the D-line. They go in and out of 3 down and 4 down. So it'll be a great challenge for us. And I'll say this, you can have a great camp. And we finished a great camp last Friday. But it comes down to what are you going to do on September 1st? It's what it comes down to. What you did in preseason, how camp went, practice went, scrimmages here and there. It doesn't really matter. I mean, Thursday will be the first opportunity we find out what we have, and that's a fact. That's not coach speak. That's really how I feel. How good a football team do we have? How good a football team they have? There's a lot of unknowns. They got some transfers. We got some transfers. We got new guys that they're looking at tape from somewhere else. There's just a ton of unknowns. It's one of the hardest games to prepare for, I think, in the openers, because you have to prepare for so much, offensively and defensively. And what did they put in the offseason? Who knows? We don't know. They don't know. We got wrinkles. I'm sure they'll have wrinkles, and that's what makes openers so much fun. So, questions?
Pat, looking at the depth chart you guys got here, there's no war listed next to Israel Baniconda. Did he separate himself from the other?
I think I forgot to put an or in there.
Oh.
I don't know. He's been really steady, so we'll find out. Again, it doesn't have an or right now. I didn't really forget, but he's come out of fall camp looking really good. But I tell you what, don't get comfortable because those other guys are really good too. There's a lot of talent in that backfield. And again, we're gonna find out on game day. Okay, they can look talented against our defense, or in a drill or a period. But to me, it's Thursday p.m. We're gonna find out who's that guy who can run it. But we feel comfortable with all those guys in the backfield that not only can make yards after contact, that can also protect the quarterback.
Pat, what's the process of educating these guys about what this means?
I won't get into that, Will, but it just comes down to educating them. And, doesn't matter if you're educating them on how to be a reporter, how to ask good questions, how to be an artist. We're gonna try to give them as much education as we can on it and teach them what a rivalry game is. I think I don't know if I mentioned this to you before, or I mentioned it at the kickoff luncheon, but you learn real quick what a rivalry is, and some of our guys don't know. And I didn't know before I got to Michigan State in 2007 really what a big time rivalry was. Shoot, I think our rivalry in college at Rhode Island was Brown. We played Brown. That was your big rivalry, really. I think you have to understand where you're coming from. I think hearing from other people, I can tell you this just to finish the education. When you have to educate, you try to bring in guest speakers, right, Billy? Bring in guest speakers. You try to bring in the best guest speaker you can. So our honorary captain this weekend, I couldn't be more excited, is Dave Wanstead. So how do you educate him? Dave Wanstead's coming back to Acrisure Stadium, and I'm excited to have him here as one of my, really idols. And I'm not talking because I'm the Pitt head coach, but he's a guy that I've always looked up to. When we played him in Cincinnati, when he was at the Dallas Cowboys, I remember watching some of his 4-3 stuff. But just to have him here, have our kids experience who Dave Wanstead is, former player, former great coach, Super Bowl with the Cowboys. I mean, he's done everything, and now with Fox, you got the ultimate captain for this football game. I don't think he's going to take a snap for us, so that won't matter. But we're going to try to educate him with Dave Wanstead and anybody else we can.
Pat, you talked about educating through stories. How valuable is having a guy like LaShawn McCoy speaking at that event on Friday? And did you have a chance to play what he said to the other players who weren't there?
No, I have not yet. I may. If you give me some more tips afterwards, it'd be good. No, LaShawn was awesome. He was awesome. He was really good, and stuff like that. They just need to know what they're getting into. As I say, they're playing for their families. Okay, their families will be up there in the stands, and to me, you always got to make it personal. And it will be personal.
What does it mean to you personally that Dave would be willing to come back in your guys' relationships?
You know what? It means the world, really. I mean, he's a Pitt man, and you know, he's a busy man, okay, as well as a Pitt man. And for him to take time out of his schedule, and we're excited. It means everything, really. I mean, it's hard to get some guys back like him, and we're excited to get him back.
Pat, did you learn anything from the renewal of the Penn State rivalry that on how to prepare players for sort of this type of experience?
Yeah, I think you do. You know, you learn from every rivalry game you played in, but no doubt about it. You know, you learn a lot of different things about it. You know, when you win them or lose them. You know, we won that first one, Penn State, and you know, I guess they did a crappy job in the other two, so it should have gone for a 4th and 1. Tell me. I know you guys all had the right answer. Someday I'll tell you the truth. Someday I'll tell you the truth.
Pat, when you played Penn State, it was early in the season. When you were at Michigan State, you played Michigan, it was late in the season. A lot of teams play these games last. You're playing this one first. Do you have a thought about maybe ideally where these games would go in the schedule and what is different about playing one first?
You know, there's nothing difficult because, you know, they got to do it, we got to do it. It's even, you know, it's a wash. But I think when you look at the tradition of it, back when I remembered it, and I don't, you know, I haven't gone back to look and see when they were played. It was around Thanksgiving. That's what I remember. I remember watching that thing up in Youngstown, Ohio, on a Thanksgiving weekend. And I think in the future that might be where it ends up being is late in the season.
Pat, you mentioned you want your players to make it personal. Is this the type of game where you want them to have a little bit of extra juice for it, or you want them to treat it like anything?
You know what? That's a great question. You want to have extra juice, but we got to have your composure too. So, you know, it's a brawl, it's a fight. There's composure. I haven't had that with our team, but maybe they'll read it on. You know, Jerry tweeted it out today or something. But you know, we have to have composure, and we didn't have great composure against Miami last year. It had some personal fouls, which would drive me nuts. So I don't want to get them too hyped because they got to be smart, play smart, and not get out of control.
Coach, as you come into the season as defending ACC champion, any perspective that you have or any perspective that you give to the players as the defending champions, how to handle it and how to go
No,
forward?
that talk was done a long time ago.
Okay.
Okay? Matter of fact, the ACC network's supposed to send me a blanket to cover up the trophy in there, so make sure we get that, BJ. But, you know, that was last year. I mean, golly, it was so long ago. You know, that quarterback's playing right next door, and he's not going to play for us this year. So, you know, last year was done, and this is a new team. That's why we're going to find out what we got Thursday night. I think that's the important thing. You know, nobody cares what you did last year. It's about right now.
You guys had 2 players, not just Kanate, but now Bub Beans is also listed as a starter at wide receiver. Those are 2 guys that you guys brought in, and they worked their way to the top of the depth chart. What did you see from both of them in their journey to kind of prove themselves to you guys, and how do you see that room as a whole?
That room gives me chest pain some days. Okay, I can tell you that. And you know, just stay right there. But you know, Kanate, you know, is in spring ball. He's a quick twitch. He's got really good speed. He's a playmaker. He's got good hands. That's what he's done. He's got great knowledge of the offense. Really smart football player. Then Bub Beans is a guy that you know, came in the summer. He's worked well with the rest of the receivers. He's worked well with the quarterbacks. He's huge. His thighs are bigger than yours, Chris. And he's a wideout, and he can run. Okay, he's probably a 4'6" guy. Okay, he's 4'6", and he's long. He's got good hands.
Why do you chest pains?
They just drive me nuts.
Can you expand on that a little bit?
I wish I could.
I wish you could too.
I mean, I was gonna ask this, just because you're a defensive guy?
No. Just, you know, little detail stuff all the time. So little details. Yeah, you know, got to be detailed.
I think the only other time you had a Power 5 opponent in the opener was Virginia, maybe like 3 years ago. Was there anything you took from that, you know, as far as how you approach it preparation-wise?
Not really. You know, I think that was a crappy game. It was the first year of a first-year offensive coordinator. We didn't play very good, and it didn't look very good in the first game. So I look at that as, you know, maybe just a bad-looking offense at that point. We just weren't very productive that night, from my recall.
Throughout all the tape you watched on JT Daniels, what was the one thing that stood out to you the most about him?
You know what? You don't see him scramble very much, but just he can make every throw. He's very, very cerebral. I think he makes the right decisions. I tell you a quick story about it. I was like, holy cow! My fact, Coach Asal was in there. I was watching, all his throws. I think it was on like play, I don't know, 128. Now I was probably on play 120 as I'm going through it, and I'm like, is this guy ever thrown an incomplete pass? I didn't realize Phil DeCapita, one of our quality control coaches, had sorted it by completions, and I said, I'm not leaving here, because I couldn't watch it all at the same time. I'm not leaving here until he throws an incomplete pass. It wasn't until about play 128, I was like, holy cow. He's just very accurate. He's smart, he can throw a really good deep ball, so our corner's got to be really good in coverage, and we've thrown a lot of deep balls this week.
And
That's their favorite route. They're going to run 3 verticals.
Keaton, obviously very familiar with Daniels and the offensive coordinator Harold as well. Have you picked his brain at all about maybe tendencies or some stuff of his experience with those two guys?
Nope. Next question.
Pat,
Gene doesn't know anything.
Obviously, you don't know for sure about how this season or the game's gonna turn out until Thursday night. What's your gut tell you about what this team can do this year?
Well, Jerry, my gut, if I ever listen to my gut, okay, it's not good. You don't know. You don't know. I mean, I think we got a good football team. We'll find out, Thursday night, and then you find out week by week if they can sustain and keep it together. But I think we got a good team. We'll find out. Again, like I said, it's hard every day when you're going against each other to find out what you have, because you don't know if you're good on one side. For example, yesterday we go past Kelly, good on good, and the offense wins 9-4. We had 13 snaps. They win 9-4. As far as just calling out who won that rep, offense completes a ball for 5 yards or more, I'm giving it to the offense. They won 9-4. And then today the defense wins 8-4. It's like, which team shows up, which coverage shows up, who's motivated. And as a coach, you wish it was 6-6, and you're like, okay, we're competing, but you got to compete every day. We're gonna find out where they are. I think it's kind of like you study it all. You study for the last 8 months. Okay, it's been 8 months. We studied for 8 months for this test. We're gonna take the test. It's and the test is Thursday night, so you find out, I think, at that point where you are. But you don't know until you take the test, and you can study and study and study, and you've been on your iPad and on your computer, but you have to show up for the test, and you got to do something.
The best students really feel good about what they did prior to the test.
That's right.
So, how do
I think
you
they're
feel?
prepared, and we'll find out. We still got to take the test, but I feel good in our preparation so far.
Pat, when the ACC guys, David Daniel, Eddie Royal, Jordan Bennett, they came through and they said they weren't too high. They weren't the highest of you guys. When they saw your guys in the trenches, the offensive and the defensive line, they said that changed their outlook as far as what you guys could do this year. What kind of charge have you put to those guys, the big guys of the team, to set a tone, especially for a first game?
I think they know. Every year we talk about it. Chris is it comes down to those guys up front. I always say it starts up front. If we're going to be successful, you better have a good D line. You better have a good O line. You can have all the skill in the world, but if you don't have anything up front, you got a problem. I feel comfortable with those guys, but we got to go out and do it. Offensively, we've stayed away from the quarter all camp, so your biggest concern is for your D line, and your linebackers for that matter. We've avoided and not tackling the quarterback all camp, and now we got to go tackle one live. And that's probably, if you said what your biggest concern is tackling in an opener, and especially tackling one quarterback. We should be pretty good on a running back because we do that, thud him up, and but we haven't had a quarterback in a while. So this week, our scout quarterbacks, our rock quarterbacks have, they got to give us a good look.
Have you made any notes on West Virginia's offensive line? They had some guys come back, and you guys having one of the most well-known defensive lines in the country, that's got to be a big matchup.
Yeah, I mean they've got 4 returning starters up front, so they got most of their offensive line back. James Gimitter, I think I pronounced that right, from Bethel Park. He's a kid we recruited out of high school down there playing left guard for him. There's some familiarity with some of those guys, and they're talented. They got a really good O-line coach that was at Texas Tech. Matter of fact, we've gone back and watched Texas Tech in the Alamo Bowl because Sam Harrell was there, and so was their O-line coach. So we've gone back to watch some of the trap stuff back in the day, and a little bit of everything.
Hey, we're at 12:16. We are going to have both coordinators at the podium today. Can I take 1 or 2 more for Coach before we move on to Coach Randy Bates, who's waiting in the wings?
Coach, you brought up how Daniels likes to go deep, the offensive coordinators tend to go deep. How important does that make Eric and Brandon's role deep as safeties, and what do you expect from them on Thursday?
you know, it makes all those guys, I mean, you know, we base out of our quarters and we've got some change-ups and, you know, of course, but those guys are always, you know, they're out there on an island, those corners are pressed up out there. You know, the safeties are gonna do what they do, and, you know, they're gonna be involved in the run game and the pass game. And to say they're all pass game is crazy, because they gotta be involved in the run game. If they aren't involved in the run game, then it won't really matter. You know, they'll run the ball down their throat. So there's, you know, they got a big job.
Amanda and then Will, and we'll wrap it up.
I have two short ones.
You're allowed to have two.
Okay, thank you. I know this is the first backyard brawl for you and for the players, but is there a different bit of a buzz going into this opening week, just knowing you're playing a historical rival, than like, you know, last year you played UMass or Austin PE?
Yeah, no question about it. And I was going to say, I don't even remember who we played last year in the opener, so it was UMass. But, you know, there's no question about it. I think, you know, everybody likes a little bit of a warm-up game, but just to get going. But I think, you know, it's better to have a game like this to be opened up with, I believe, just because your kids are cranked up for it. I mean, I think it helps in the preparation. You know, the guys aren't sitting there going, oh, yeah, well, we only have UMass, and then you glide through camp. So I think there's, you know, been a lot of juice through camp. And like I said, I think we've had, you know, a really good football camp.
My other question is, I was covering the Steelers last night. Kenny's prediction is 31-10 Pitt win. What do you think about your former quarterback giving you a 3-touchdown win?
Should know better. Text him, should know better. He can do that now. He's, you know, in the NFL. But I ignore all that noise. I did hear that last night. My son might have told me, or EJ told me this morning. So, you know, everybody's got predictions. Kenny hadn't watched any tape, okay? But he's watched other tape, I'm sure.
Go ahead, Will.
Pat, you grew up an hour from here. I mean, you know, was this something that was on the map for you, even though, you know, technically, obviously, you're close to another university at the time? You know, was backyard brawl something that registered? Is there anything that stands out of memory from your being in high school or young player or anything?
No, I wish I could tell you I remember a lot of things back then. No, I don't. You know, I just remember watching the games as a little kid, so I remember that, the brawl.
Okay. Coach, thank you.
All right.
Coach Bates?
Thanks.